Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're going to be listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by the fine folks at Mission Fed Credit Union. 60-plus years of doing great things in our community, whether it's food insecurity, we're just working with the homeless, it's Alzheimer's, and everything in between. They're doing a great job. So thrilled to have in the studio with us today my longtime friend and colleague, the inimitable Neville Billimoria. He is a senior VP at Mission Fed Credit Union, in charge of all good things. That's going to be his new title.
Drew, I just got a promotion, man.
You did?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
After 24 years.
What is it?
Chief Marketing Officer.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We heard it here. Very, very good. And so Chief Marketing Officer, I'm going to write that down over here. But we're talking about something else that he's involved in. He's the organizer of Joy Jam. And what's Joy Jam?
Well, sitting right next to me is a couple, and Shayna is going to tell you her story, but really, Joy Jam is an opportunity that was inspired by local philanthropist Peter Davis and his buddy Serge Solomon to bring some joy back into the world. And yes, in spite of the stressful times we're in. And part of the experience is to bring us together as a community to celebrate life, to create an inclusive experience. It's a completely donation-based opportunity, and all the proceeds are going to be going to Shayna and Eric, and she'll tell you the story about her recovery and remission from a terminal condition, and now she's cancer-free, and I think it's a illustrative example of what the power of joy, healing, hope, community can do.
You know, absolutely. Joined by my co-host, Noah Brady. He's now in his third tour being a co-host on it. He'll be jumping in with some questions as well. So, Shayna, tell us a story, and if you want to introduce the guy next to you, you can certainly do that as well.
Thank you, Drew.
You're welcome.
The guy next to me is my husband of 27 years, Eric Kaufmann, who is a remarkable man and supporter of my journey and all journeys. So my story started about 8 months ago, or the chapter of my story, when our world was turned upside down, when at 10 o'clock at night we got the results of a PET scan, which we thought was a rule out, not a rule in, so we weren't particularly anxious about it. These results come into a portal at 10 o'clock at night on a Friday night when there's no one to call to get clarification. So when we read the words adenocarcinoma, that sounded like gibberish to us, not having had any cancer experience. It didn't sound good, but we weren't sure what it was. So with no one to call, we chat GPT'd it, which I recommend no one ever, ever, ever do when it comes to a medical diagnosis. And to our shock, it said advanced metastatic stage 4 cancer, average lifespan 7 months. And the number was too shocking to even grasp. Fast forward 3 weeks, we saw our first oncologist, and he looked at us straight in the eye and said, "You have about a year to live. Let's make sure you have some pain meds." And I pushed back and said, "But there's outliers, there's miracles, there's unique variations in people." And anything I said, he squashed, which is the worst thing you can do to anyone with anything, is to take away their hope. He came back and said something like, "But cancers mutate and chemo stops working, so let's make sure you have some pain meds." He was literally walking me to my grave.
So this, as Neville knows, and my business partner Charles knows, whenever I hear these stories, it gets me going. My father was a medical doctor, and certainly would do the exact opposite what that oncologist did. In fact, he would jump out of his skin. He taught medicine at UCLA, and part of his job was to train doctors on how to have some bedside manners. What this guy gets an F- times 2 billion for God. He's rolling around in his grave on this. So, Eric, you're sitting next to your wife, imagine, when you're getting this conversation with this oncologist. Is that correct?
Yeah, when we got to the office, exactly right. She's sitting in the seat, and I'm sitting in the seat. And
right. What's your feeling besides the fact your eyeballs are about ready to pop out of your head? Or maybe you want to pop his eyeballs out of his head,
I wasn't feeling particularly violent. I was shocked.
Okay.
It was like, the doctor has a power. This is what authorities have, right? They have a power to affect what you think and what you think about. And so we're sitting there, and I'm slightly stunned, quite frankly, right? I'm sitting there going, well, wait a minute, we had plans, Machu Picchu, Thailand, the kids, and so suddenly we're sitting there going, okay, because what are we going to do? If she's saying she's going to pass, and he's not saying this optionally, he's saying this definitively. And so I just kind of was stunned. We left the office, and it was this, it's an altered state. It's an absolute, complete altered state, no drugs involved. You just walk out of the office and the world looks different, the colors look different, the future doesn't suddenly really show up in any meaningful way. And we sat around like that for the weekend, kind of just stunned, sitting around the house, sort of half floating, half present. And then at some point, I think it was towards Sunday or so, the weekend hadn't been over yet, and Shayna said, I'm not going to say exactly what she said, but she said, to hell with him.
Yeah, I understand.
But it wasn't to hell with what this started.
I understand.
She said, he's a doctor, he's not a god. He has actuarial tables, he does not have actual prediction of the future. I reject his prognosis.
Yeah, you blanking reject his diagnosis. Okay.
Well, the prognosis. The diagnosis is a diagnosis,
yeah.
Right? She has six tumors throughout her peritoneum. I mean, there's real cancer observable, but to say that she has less than a year to live, she says, I reject his prognosis. I reject it. And that's where the conversation turns to, so what do we do next, right? But
and what do you do next?
I'll let her say.
It is a we. I mean, I went through it directly, but there was a we in every aspect of this.
Right.
Beyond Eric was my number one, but beyond Eric, there was tremendous community support, which is ongoing, aka the Joy Jam. I just said, no, I absolutely reject that. That's not going to happen. And at some point, very soon after, and I wish I knew the exact time, but there was a moment when I just felt in my bones, I'm going to beat this. And everything changed. And it wasn't a denial of reality. It wasn't even wishful thinking. It was a knowing deep inside, I will beat this. And I felt my body change. I stood taller, I opened my shoulders more, and I went on a very laser-focused journey of both Western medicine. It was very advanced. I mean, I had to be in chemo yesterday when I was diagnosed. And so it was we consulted with a surgeon. There was too much spread. I was not a surgical candidate. It would have been more dangerous to operate than not, because you start messing with large tumors and you risk spreading cancer cells. So I had to do chemotherapy, but also went on a very detailed Eastern approach that included vitamin C infusions and hyperbaric oxygen chamber and acupuncture and prayer and meditation and tons of community support. And I had the privilege of this being my full-time job. And there was just no option not to beat this.
Yeah.
And it was hard. It was a very hard, intense, and my chemotherapy protocol was 4 different chemo drugs. So it was rigorous. But I think the Eastern combination helped me tolerate those, to where I miraculously, after 4 months, after 3 months, we did the first PET scan follow-up, and there was no signs of extra disease. The tumors had miraculously shrunk to a crazy level. A month later, I go back to the surgeon, check this out. He said, wow. You're what we call an extreme responder. Let's get a camera in there and see if you're now a surgical candidate. I was. A month later, they operated. That was 5 weeks ago today, and they come out of a surgery that could have gone anywhere from 4 hours to 9 hours. Eric gets the call an hour and 25 minutes after I went in. They removed a massive ovary that was 5 inches of a cancerous tumor that's normally the size of an almond, and the other one, and a few other body parts. But he came out and said there's no evidence of disease.
So the question I have, it's the weekend, and you say enough of this nonsense. I'm going to beat this thing. Okay, are you still going with that oncologist, or now you're doing all this research on different types of things that's going to get me better? Who are you going to? Are you just doing the research, and now we got to go to Joe Blow, who's an expert in this? How'd you find all this?
So I was very fortunate. I have medical doctors in my family. I'm a researcher myself.
Okay.
So out the gate, we were identifying the experts in the field, and I was flying to different places and consulting with different experts to make sure opinions were lined up. I'm not going to say the medical institution that I went to, but I left the one to another one.
I understand. You should,
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
He was, I think that was my last appointment with that particular oncologist.
Yeah. We're chatting with Shayna and Eric Kaufmann, talking about her journey, so to speak. Carcinoma, was that what it was? Correct?
Adenocarcinoma.
Adenocarcinoma, okay. And now how, I'm not sure if miracle is the right word on this aspect. Miracle based on what that guy's prognosis was, right? But maybe if you would have got that other prognosis from this guy, the one you did the research on, okay, and he had said, you know what, I think we can take this thing on if you do this, and this, which of course he would have the capability of doing it. Whether he did it or not, he didn't do that. Obviously, it would be a different story, on this. But
I want to clarify too. The research wasn't giving me any better data. I mean, everything we looked at statistically, I'm not supposed to be sitting here right now.
Right, but something you did worked.
Yes.
Okay, right, exactly.
Many things I did worked, yeah.
Right, exactly. So, Neville, how does Joy Jam tie into all of this?
I think it ties in consummately. In the West, we focus on pathology. My dad was a doctor too, so I can riff on this a little bit, which is the study of disease. That's pathogenesis. Salutogenesis is the presence of wellness. The absence of disease is very different from the presence of wellness. And Shayna went on a wellness journey to contradict a pathogenic framework and construct. Forget congestive heart failure. We have collective heart failure in our community right now. It's time for us to get together and celebrate, affirm, create joy, make time for one another and develop connection. So Joy Jam is an antidote to inoculate our society from the mutual mystification and false thinking and false behaving that has created the conditions we live in.
Joy Jam is it's an obvious question, like how do we go from a life-threatening condition to a celebration of joy? But I think that what we haven't gotten to yet is I'm going to think of how you said that, Shayna. At one point during this journey, Shayna said, I have historically been a glass half empty kind of gal. That was, Shayna is a PhD psychologist, a forensic psychologist, a remarkable woman, and there's many reasons she could see that the world is not quite working or where it needs to be fixed. And then in this journey, she had become an optimist like I'd never seen before, right? Not in her, but like in most people, the level of optimism. But that optimism, remarkably, right, with a sort of a death sentence, and it wasn't just one, to your point, Drew, right? We went to 3 oncologists and to 2 surgical oncologists, and they all came up with the same conclusion, right? So the medical institution at large had locked into this is what we see, and we in private said, screw that, that's not what we're looking for.
Right.
And part of it wasn't just locking down with tight jaws and sort of white-knuckling it, because and there's a lot of people who, when they come into cancer, they're like, screw cancer, kill cancer, fight cancer, destroy cancer, cancer is the enemy. You do that, what are you doing? You're generating a whole field of negativity and fear and anger and combativeness that is only going to make it worse on your general immune system to heal. And so what we realize is that, part of the healing journey is you can't be in combat. You have to be in love. And I know this sounds corny at some level, but what is love really? Love is a sense of nurturance. Love is a sense of connection. Love is a sense of optimism. Love is a sense of generation and regeneration. And part of that is, amidst the challenges, the difficulty, the struggle, the fear, the existential angst, the fear of our kids, our daughters freaking out, right?
Right.
We said, well, there's the daily joy that has to be part of this formula of healing. And by the way, to find joy in the jaws of in the jaws of death is a trick, but it's freaking necessary, important, doable, and to the degree that there's what you call collective heart failure, not just congestive heart failure. I think what happens when the collective heart is squeezed is that the joy is one of the first butterflies to leave the cage.
Yeah.
In the absence of joy, what we have is terror, fear, and anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't do anybody any good. When we come back from break, I know Shayna wants to take that to a step further over here, and then I know Noah has some questions for you, Neville, on what is Joy Jam and where does it go? How do we sign up? How do we participate? Do you need sponsors and everything in between when we return with Neville Billimoria, Chief Marketing. Is it Chief Marketing Officer? Okay, good. CMO for Mission Fed Credit Union, the organizer of Joy Jam, joined by recipients of Joy Jam and obviously recipients of life, to say the least, and everything else that comes with that. Eric and Shayna Kaufmann. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We will be right back after this short break.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We are joined by Neville Billimoria. He's the Chief Marketing Officer for Mission Fed Credit Union and the organizer of Joy Jam. We're going to hear all about that, and you're going to continue to hear the compelling story of Eric and Shayna Kaufmann, joined by my co-host Noah Brady. Before we get to Noah, Shayna, you were going to jump on something that Eric was saying.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the role of joy all throughout this. And there's kind of the big joys, the capital J, like Joy Jam, where you have this huge gathering and we collectively, are uplifted in community. And then there's the small J's, which is the everyday joys, which for me was sitting in my backyard, listening to wind chimes, petting my dog, coffee when I could taste it. When I had energy to take a walk, those became very powerful joys, just the mundane. And it became medicine. I mean, joy is medicine. And when, in the very beginning, when I first started chemo, I thought, I'm going to have to exit the world for a little bit. I can't risk getting sick. I have to stay in my cocoon. I just have to focus. And I'm a social person. So after a month of that, I thought, what am I doing? I'm exiting life, either waiting to live or waiting to die. Either way, I'm not living right now. So I slowly got back out in the community safely and started with having friends come over and would wear masks. And joy became such an instrumental, important component of my healing. So it's not that just we're celebrating this collective way, but there is, the everyday joys. And then the huge joy, when my daughter asked how I was feeling the night before surgery, I said, I've had so much community support and love. I feel like I'm being carried to the hospital. So the role of joy, again, I think is medicine all throughout. Yeah.
No, you're a poster child for that, poster adult for it, whatever. Noah, you have a question for Neville or the group?
Well, I just want to start by saying that your story is incredible, and it's an incredible testament to just how much power joy and positivity has towards, how we can be physically, our physical wellness. You hear time and time again that illnesses are not just physical ailments, but they're psychosomatic as well. So the way that you're feeling in your head, the stress levels that you have in your body are creating problems. And if you can, experience joy and relieve that stress, then your body has these natural healing powers that you get to unlock. And I think that is just a huge testament to that.
Thank you. And you're right. That's beautifully said. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So obviously there's a huge connection between your positivity and your natural ability to heal yourself. And likewise, I think that, as a musician, I've noticed that music has played a huge role in bringing joy into my life. And it seems like that's what you guys are trying to do with Joy Jam. Can you tell me a bit about what your goal is and what Joy Jam looks like as an actuality?
Yeah, absolutely. So good read and insightful comments. I appreciate those, Noah. If we believed in the condition and the challenge that there's an energy crisis out there and there's a collective heart failure, to use a word I just made up this morning.
Yeah, definitely.
Then the antidote for that is opportunity to commune, to build community. And certainly music is an integral part of that. So what we've ideated on Saturday, May 9th, it'll be at the Seaside Center for Spiritual Living in Encinitas, container well designed for this experience, an opportunity to have music sing-alongs. So it'll not be performative. So we're not going to be rock stars on the stage. We're going to be all sharing in the musical experience. There's drum circles. There's healing modalities. We understood the power of Eastern techniques and complementary alternative medicine. So you'll have a chance to have a massage or a sound bath or various other modalities that'll be made available. And it's just a afternoon, 3 to 7, of sharing, caring, loving, being, non-performative, be yourself, come as you are, and enjoy, create some joy.
How much are tickets?
They're all donation-based.
Oh, okay.
The entire thing has been covered, paid for, again, by a philanthropist, Peter Davis, because he believes in this opportunity. And when you sign up for a ticket, and it is limited, we can't max out. We're going to tap out here because I think there's a lot of people yearning for this. But it's all donation-based, whatever you want to pay, and all that money is going to help with the medical costs that Shayna and Eric have undergone.
Right, and how does one sign up for that?
So there's a website. It's www.joyjam.communalspaces.org.
Right, and for our listeners, I highly encourage you folks to sign up early and often, maybe, and it will probably sell out based on the capacity, as Neville was talking about in this aspect of it. And when it does sell out, because it will, because we want to hear these compelling things, there'll be a Joy Jam 2 and a 3 and a 4 and an infinity.
We thought about this prior to Shayna getting the diagnosis, is doing them on the solstice and the equinox, so 4 times a year. But this is the pilot. We want to test and confirm that this can scale and there's enough appetite and interest and support.
And what is the capacity of the event again?
We're going to hold it at 300.
Okay, so 300. Okay, so
We've already sold 58 tickets, and we haven't even promoted it yet.
Yeah, well, now you have, and it's gonna zoom.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Please, must be present to win.
Yeah, it must be present to win. Exactly. Okay, so it's 3:00 Noah and I show up, okay? It's the Seaside Center for Spiritual Living. Okay, we walk in, and what do we experience first?
Well, I don't want to give away the whole runner show, you dirty dog, Drew, but...
well, there can be a little spoiler.
All right, okay, spoiler alert. We want to go in there with a bang, so it's going to be like either taiko drumming style invitation for a processional to enter the space with authenticity and some juju, some energy.
Yeah.
And then you've got an opportunity to mingle, network, connect, try these wellness modalities, participate in a drum circle, etc. And then we have a program where there's a little bit of mindfulness. There's a little some comments from Shayna about her journey. There's an opportunity for the musical interaction and experience. And then again at the end, there's time to informally connect. So that's basically the outline.
Right, and
with some surprises that I refuse to give up, even if you torture me right now.
We will not torture you. That's the exact opposite of Joy Jam. It's the untorture aspect of it. And so now I'll start with Eric on this and move over to Shayna, and then we'll have Neville take it away. So now you've done your first Joy Jam. It's been sold out for about a month now. Okay, very good, which means April 9 will be sold out for May 9 and all that aspect of it. Now it is over. It's 7 o'clock. Everyone has just been a huge kumbaya times 4,000. It's been wonderful. We've got the juju from Shayna and everything that goes in between. What's next?
Dinner and a movie, I guess.
Okay, and the reason why I say this, and Neville and I talk about this quite a bit. I've known Neville for 23 years now.
24.
24. Sorry, 24. Who's counting on this? We always like to say, "Hey, that was great, but what's next?" Okay.
Well, so that's a totally fair question. I think there's a few things that come next. First of all, for all the people that participated, what's next is that this joy reverberates past the evening.
Right.
Right. That the idea is, fear is contagious. So is courage, so is joy. And one of the things that joy does is it actually feeds courage. And what we need more courage to live our lives within the context we're experiencing. So one of the things that happens next is that folks have touched on something that is encouraging to them, joyful to them,
right,
and they walk away with that. I think what's next for us is that, for us this will be a celebration and sort of the graduation experience, right? We went into the jaws of death. We came out of the jaws of death. Shayna is alive. Shayna will be alive. And Shayna is a professor and a teacher and a speaker and an author, and she holds workshops and she hasn't had time to do any of that or energy to do any of that. So to have her for a moment be with people, sharing the joy in her heart and the amazing genius that flows through her, is a beautiful thing. And what's next is for Shayna to come back to life, not just as somebody who continues her journey, but who has paused and now looks more deeply at why she's here and what she has to offer, which has always been phenomenal. I expect it next to be a little bit more, edgy, to bring people who come into contact with her faster into their own sense of awakening and joy and their own personal power.
That's good.
And what's next for us is, we continue to be beacons in this world, the world that is twisted and that is anxious. And we want to be beacon of not certainty, but presence and community and care and joy on purpose.
I think Machu Picchu is in your future, is it not?
Machu Picchu, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think?
The list is long, my friend.
Yeah. Listen, you got to think big, right? Or go home, for God's sake, on this. Shayna, how many kids do you folks have?
We have 2 amazing daughters.
Okay, are they going to be at Joy Jam?
Absolutely.
Okay, very, very good. Are they excited about Joy Jam?
They are. They're just delighted that I'm here. And
of course
we'll be
they
here
are.
For a while.
Yeah.
The cancer journey, especially when you've had what I have, it's not over for me. I'm not saying it's going to come back, but it's going to be. I will be observed and followed, and I don't know what's tomorrow, but I do know that we need joy every day. And if we leave people feeling, especially in today's world, which is so tumultuous and chaotic and stressful and overwhelming and blah, 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 if people can feel what it feels like to experience joy and know that it's okay to have joy and concern and fear, that those two can coexist, and to remember to bring some of those small J's into their life on a daily basis, that's going to help.
Well, if nothing else, you control your joy. You can control that joy meter on whether you want to be joyful or you want to take that route. Obviously, there are things that can get in the way of that as well. But listen, I think you've proven that, what you've done, to say the least, and even more to come. And there's certain ups, downs, we all know that's part of life. And I'm sure your kids have seen it. That's an understatement. And the wonderful, husband and partner and confidant and everything that goes in between on that, that Eric has been is phenomenal on that. Neville?
Yeah, so you asked what happens next. I think we should remember that there's three parts to joy or happiness. There's the anticipation, so this is the build-up. There's the memory, the experience itself, and then there's the memories that follow. So I'd invite people to give thought to how they can maximize their own joy, whether you're coming to Joy Jam or not. I know it's been said that chance favors the prepared mind. I would posit that joy favors the prepared heart. And it's up to us to now prepare our hearts, to open our hearts, so we can be, again, those living in a space of love, not combat, living in a space of we, not me, and making a difference of consequence as we navigate whatever that journey ahead is for us.
Right. So Joy Jam, Saturday, May 9. It is from 3 to 7, Seaside Center for Spiritual Living. Is there a website?
There is, again, www.joyjam.communalspaces.org.
Well, listen, Neville, it's always great seeing you. When Neville is on the show, there's always going to be something cool happening. I'll tell you that right now, and this is going to be very cool on that. Shayna, this is what a delight to meet you for 76 different reasons. Eric, good seeing you again as well. Joy Jam, Saturday, May 9, 3 to 7 o'clock, Seaside Center for Spiritual Living. Noah, do you have any final comments?
No, I just want to say it was great to see you guys again, and I'm really excited. I'm hoping to see you guys at Joy Jam.
Hope you're there too. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Drew Schlosberg.
Bring an instrument.
Yeah, bring an instrument. Yeah, he'll bring an instrument, all right. I'm Drew Schlosberg at Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by the fine folks at Mission Fed Credit Union. To our audience, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.